Hello, my kitty winks. How have you been? I do miss you and not actually seeing your little faces. Never mind. I hope you've had a good week and school is going okay. So, back to Sunday school story online again. Well, we had a lovely story last week about God's gifts of creation and how he made everything new and clean and bright and good. Let's see what this week's story says. In the beginning, God gave us the great gifts, the gifts of light and of water and of the fishes and the birds and the dry land, the animals and the people. But the people, they grew wicked and bad and they did horrible things. And God was very sad. Everything was so good and clean and new at creation, and everything now just seemed spoiled. But there was one good family. There was a man called Noah and his wife. We don't actually know what her name is, so we'll just call her Mrs. Noah for now. And God said to Noah, I'm going to send a great flood of water to wash everything away and make everything clean and new again. So please build an ark. And so Noah did as God asked, and he built an ark. And God said, place every kind of animal inside the ark. Every kind of animal family inside the ark. So this must have been huge. You can think, how many animals, how many different types of animals can you think of that needed somewhere to stay inside this ark? It would have been massive. And actually all the dimensions are written in the Bible, so we can see how big it was. But the animals came from everywhere. Oopsie. Some of them were obviously very tired from their journey. And as they came from everywhere, they came and walked onto the ark. And the ark. Ooh, I forgot Mrs. Noah. And Noah himself. And they pulled up the gate and closed that boat tight. And it began to rain. And rain. And rain some more. And it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and the waters rose, and the ark got higher and higher. Ooh. And higher. And all the earth and everything in it was covered with water, but not the ark. God remembered Noah, and the rain stopped, and God sent the wind to dry the water up, and the waters began to go down. And one day Noah took a dove. Can you see my dove? It's tiny. Tiny little dove. And he placed it on the palm of his hand, and it flew off. But all it could find was water. So it came back to the boat, to the ark. A few days later, Noah sent the dove off again, and it flew off. And when it came back, it was carrying an olive branch. Do you know what that means? It means there must have been a top of a tree poking out from the water, and it managed to find a tree. So the water really was going down. So Noah waited a few more days and sent the dove for a third time. And as it flew off, it didn't come back because it had found a new home. The ark came to rest on dry land. And Noah let the gangplank down and came out onto the new land. And so did all the animals. And they left the ark and found new homes. Everything was clean and new again, and Noah and his family were so happy they couldn't help but give thanks to God. So they built a special place. An altar. Where they could pray, and they said prayers of thanksgiving, for they were home, and God promised never to send such a flood of water again. And God gave a sign of his promise. Do you know what that sign is? That's right, a beautiful rainbow, just like on the front cover of our Bible. You see that beautiful rainbow. And he sent that sign so we can always remember God's promise. And we can still see the rainbow in the sky. We've had one over Kentville the last couple of weeks. And it was the sign for Noah, and it's the sign for us too, that there will never be such a flood again. I wonder how it felt to be in the ark in all that rain. I wonder what it was like to be surrounded by so much water. I wonder if they could all swim. I wonder how it felt to be washed clean and new and start all over again. I wonder how God felt about all the animals and the people in the ark. I wonder how they felt as they made a special place to talk to God, to say their thanks to God. I wonder how they felt when they saw that beautiful rainbow. That must have been an amazing sight. The very first rainbow. There's probably lots of questions you might have. Feel free to email me and ask me, or some of you can call me, or get your parents to call me. Or ask your parents first. Of course, there's always that option. But it will be lovely to hear from you. Stay well, my friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Shall we find our place in Scripture and read it? Let's have a look-see. Oops. My old tattered Bible. Okay. Starting at Genesis chapter 7. Well, actually, we're going to go just before that, and we're going to talk about Noah. So this is chapter 6, verses 9 to 10. This is the story of Noah. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Noah had no faults and was the only good man of his time. He lived in fellowship with God, but everyone else was evil in God's sight, and violence had spread everywhere. God looked at the world and saw that it was evil, for the people were all living evil lives. God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to all mankind. I will destroy them completely because the world is full of their violent deeds. Build a boat for yourself out of good timber. Make rooms in it and cover it with tar inside and out. Make it 133 meters long, 22 meters wide, and 13 meters high. Make a roof for the boat and leave a space of 44 centimeters between the roof and the sides. Build it with 3 decks and put a door in the side. I'm going to send a flood on the earth to destroy every living being. Everything on the earth will die, but I will make a covenant with you. Go into the boat with your wife and your sons and their wives. Take into the boat with you a male and female of every kind of animal and every kind of bird, in order to keep them alive. Take along all kinds of food for you and for them. Noah did everything that God commanded. The Lord said to Noah, "Go into the boat with your whole family. I have found that you are the only one in the world who does what is right. Take with you pairs of each kind of animal." And we're just going to skip a few lines. 7 days from now, I am going to send the rain that will fall for 40 days and nights, in order to destroy all the living beings that I have made. And Noah did everything the Lord commanded. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came on earth. He and his wife and his sons and their wives went into the boat to escape the flood. A male and female of every kind of animal and bird, whether ritually clean or unclean, went into the boat with Noah, as God had commanded. 7 days later, the flood came. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, all the outlets of the vast body of water beneath the earth burst open. All the floodgates of the sky were opened, and rain fell on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. On that same day, Noah and his wife went into the boat with their 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them went every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, and every kind of bird. A male and female of each kind of living being went into the boat with Noah, as God had commanded. Then the Lord shut the door behind Noah. The flood continued for 40 days, and the water became deep enough for the boat to float. The water became deeper, and the boat drifted on the surface. It became so deep that it covered the highest mountains. It went on rising until it was 7 meters above the top of the mountains. Every living being on the earth died, every bird, every animal, and every person. Everything on the earth that breathed died. The Lord destroyed all living beings on the earth, human beings, animals, and birds. The only ones left were Noah and those who were with him on the boat. The water did not start going down for 150 days. God had not forgotten Noah and all the animals with him in the boat. He caused the wind to blow, and the water started to go down. The outlets of the water beneath the earth and the floodgates of the sky were closed. The rain stopped, and the water gradually went down for 150 days. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the boat came to rest on a mountain in the Ararat range. The water kept going down, and on the 1st day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains appeared. After 40 days, Noah opened a window and sent out a raven. It did not come back, but kept flying around until the water was completely gone. Meanwhile, Noah sent out a dove to see if the water had gone down. But since the water still covered all the land, the dove did not find a place to alight. It flew back to the boat, and Noah reached out and took it in. He waited another 7 days and sent out the dove again. It returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. So Noah knew that the water had gone down. Then he waited another 7 days and sent the dove once more. This time it did not come back. When Noah was 601 years old, on the first day of the first month, the water was gone. Noah removed the covering of the boat, looked around, and saw that the ground was getting dry. By the 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. God said to Noah, "Go out of the boat with your wife and your sons and their wives. Take all the birds and animals out with you, so that they may reproduce and spread all over the earth." So Noah went out of the boat with his wife, his sons and their wives, and all the animals and birds went out of the boat in groups of their own kind. Noah built an altar to the Lord. He took one of each kind of ritually clean animal and bird and burnt them whole as a sacrifice on the altar. The odour of the sacrifice pleased the Lord, and he said to himself, "Never again will I put the earth under a curse because of what man does. I know that from the time he is young, his thoughts are evil. Never again will I destroy all living beings as I have done this time. As long as the world exists, there will be a time for planting and a time for harvest. There will always be cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." Wow. And then the story goes on, and it talks about Noah and his sons and what happened. And history begins.